All right, so to run the Midnight node in validator mode and start to produce blocks, what I'm going to do is use the Midnight node Docker project, the same one we've been using. And there's this environment RC file. You want to make sure that the Postgres credentials are accurate to wherever your Postgres connection is. For example, this is the one I have running on Cherry servers, and I have the correct port, correct Postgres user, and I also want to make sure that this Postgres password file is your correct Postgres password. I'm showing you my values simply because this instance won't exist anymore by the time you see this video, but just make sure that you use your correct Postgres password and your environment RC file has your correct Postgres host port and user values. All right. So once you do that, or let's say you modify the file, you can use rec reload, load environment variables, and then we're going to compose the YAML file. This is going to run the Midnight node in validator mode for us. I'm going to create a container called Midnight node, and it's going to know our keys because we're going to mount that data volume that we created in the registration process, which is here, which has our keys. So the Midnight node can know our keys. All right. So the next thing I can do is I'll do Docker compose up, and this will automatically compose from the compose.yaml file. Okay. Docker compose up, and you should see that your Midnight node begins to sync. Now, I must remind you that your Midnight node will not produce blocks until it reaches that n+2 epoch. So at the time of making this video, let's see, it's still epoch 981, and I registered in 981. In my Midnight node, I won't see blocks prepared until epoch 983. I'll have to run my Midnight node, and by the time I reach that epoch, I'll see blocks begin to be prepared and produced. Okay, let's go back to my Midnight node. So the Midnight node's running, downloading and syncing. If I were at epoch 983, I should be seeing myself participating in block production. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control-C and quit this container. If you want to run the Midnight node in detached mode, you can just do Docker compose up and the D flag to run it in detached mode, and that'll run it in the background. And I could do Docker logs node, and I'll be able to see some logs. And yeah, so at that point, the Midnight node's running. Now what I'm going to do is do Docker compose down, and that will turn off the Midnight node.